Okay. Rishus Maradasa, we're continuing our Shir and Dishu Ba'alacha. We're holding on Reish Gimel Amud Aleph. We're in Siman Shin Mem Tes. We are in middle of Sif Gimel. So we have been discussing the halachas of somebody being Maver Dalet Amos Berishus Harabim, somebody who moves an object 4 Amos in Rishus Harabim. So since we've kind of left this over the weekend, over Shabbos, just to give a little bit of a recap, a person is not allowed to move a chayfetz more than 4 amos or more in Rishus Harabim. And the way the Shulchan Aruch gives this halacha over to us is he tells us that a person has Dalet Amos in Rishus Harabim. And it seems that what Chazal are saying is that when a person is located in Rishus Harabim on Shabbos, the Dalet Amos that are around him, so to speak, are his Rishus. That's his makom. And he's allowed to move chafetzim, he's allowed to move objects in his makom, he's allowed to move them from place to place in his makom. Since his makom is Dalet Amos, so he could move something from one side of the Dalet Amos to the other side of Dalet Amos. He could move something from one corner of the Dalet Amos to the far corner of the Dalet Amos, which we said means that he could actually move it 5 3/5 Amos, because that's the diagonal of a Dalet square. We saw machlokes whether 4 to 5 3/5 is perhaps an Issa D'Rabbanan, perhaps not. We saw machlokes, it depends if you laid out the square, if you didn't lay out the square. But this is the concept. The concept is that a person is allowed to move the chafetzim that are in his makom. Now it happens to be that Yankel asked a very interesting question on Thursday, I think it was, and Yankel asked, I don't understand. A person is allowed to walk in Rishus Harabim. So he said that when a person is walking in Rishus Harabim on Shabbos, he's always moving his square. So Yankel wanted to know, so I don't understand. A person in Rishus Harabim picks up a chayfetz, he starts walking with the chayfetz, l'chayr his makom, his Dalet Amos square, should move along with him. And therefore, why is it ever a problem to move a chayfetz more than Dalet Amos? I'm never moving the Dalet Amos out of my makom. As long as the chayfetz is with me, I'm holding the chayfetz, so Mamela the chayfetz is always in my makom, and I'm never moving it out of my makom. And I think the answer to that, after looking in the Rishonim, I think the answer to that is as follows. I think the answer is that when we speak about a person who is in Rishus Harabim, but he is still within the tchum, right? So that's the person who's allowed to walk as much as he wants. You're right that his makom is not firmly delineated because he can keep on walking. However, when he picks up a chayfetz, he has now delineated his 4 amos square. When he picks up the chayfetz, he has now marked, my square has to start from here, because you picked up a chayfetz now, and you can't move a chayfetz out of your Dalet Amos. So when you pick it up, you have now locked in the square. Now you could move to the end of that square. You could move to the end of the square, and you could put the chayfetz down. Midaraisa, you would be allowed to pick up the chayfetz, walk Dalet Amos, put it down, and now that you put it down, you taka start a new square. And midaraisa, you could pick it up again and go another Dalet Amos, and then put it down and start another new square. And midaraisa, go another Dalet Amos. The problem is that Chazal said you can't do that, which we're going to see today in Seif. Hey, the Chachamim came along and said you can't do that because you're going to come to carry more than 4 amos in one shot. But that's the answer. The answer is that you're right. Your square does go along with you until you pick up a chayfetz. When you pick up a chayfetz, now you have gone ahead and you've delineated your square. Because once you pick up a chayfetz, so you mean you want to move something in Rishus Harabim? If you want to move something in Rishus Harabim, you only have 4 amos to move it. So okay, you want this to be your square? Go ahead, carry it 4 amos. But once you picked up that item, now you can't move your square until you put that item down.
So this is a rule that we say that can sort of like, I don't want to say rationalize, but it's something that maybe makes a little sense to us. We could have just as well said, that's the nature of the beast. That's what Hashem wants.
Right. Right. But I.
When it comes to carrying, that's the nature of the
right.
beast.
But what's interesting to me, and again, I mentioned this when we started Shin Mem Tes, what's interesting to me is that all of the Gemaras and all of the Mishnayos that they bring down from Eruvin, when it comes to Dalet Amos, are all talking about the guy who's outside of the Tchum, and who only has Daled Amos. And I think it's all based on the same thing. It's all based on this concept that Mekayma Shel Adam is Daled Amos. And that's why when you're out of the Tchum, you have Daled Amos, because Daled Amos is yours. You always have Daled Amos. The ramification of that Mekayma Shel Adam is Daled Amos when you're not out of the Tchum is that you only have Daled Amos to play with when it comes to being Mavir a Chayfetz. Because once you move it out of Daled Amos, you kind of moved it out of a Rishus. You moved it out of your Mokum.
When Moshe was saying everything over there,
Yeah.
the Parshas B'Shalach,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what it is.
What, when he was saying what?
I didn't say he's been playing.
Oh, I guess the Ishmael Mekayma, that's a B'Shalach, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Everything he's saying over there.
Right.
So he was talking about people coming to his Rishus.
No, over there he's talking about the Mun. Over there he said, Al Yetzei Ishbim Kaimeh B'Yom Shabbos, don't go out to go collect Mun. He was telling them you don't collect Mun on Shabbos. Right? No Mun is going to fall on Shabbos, so Al Yetzei Ishbim Kaimeh B'Yom Shabbos. You're mixing it up with Vayikalei Ha'am Mehavi, that when Moshe Rabbeinu said,
Yeah, but we learned something from there.
yeah,
Like when they brought the things from the Mishnah.
right, yeah.
But we learned something, that his place was...
That his place was Rishus Rabbah, and their place was Rishus Yachid. That's where we learn out Haitzah from, that you can't be Mitzi.
Yeah.
Right? So what? What are you asking?
So that's what we learned. So
Yeah.
It's talking about going from one Rishus to the other.
Right.
Yeah. But it doesn't mention... So he's saying over here, Mavir 4 Amos Rishus Rabbim is because...
Is a Torah of this Haitzah. Because again, you're not taking from Rishus Yachid to Rishus Rabbah, Rishus Rabbah to Rishus Yachid, but you're taking out of your Rishus. Shavu Ish Tachtav. Shavu Ish Tachtav.
And that was said in relation to...
That's in relation to the Mun. Shavu Ish Tachtav, Al Yetzei Ish... Yeah, that's in relation to the Mun. Shavu... Yeah, also by the Mun. Yeah. But that's not where we learn out Haitzah from. Regular Haitzah comes from Moshe Rabbeinu by the Trumas HaMishkan. This, Daled Amos, comes from Shavu Ish Tachtav, by the Mun.
So over there in the man, where did they bring it from? Like, what is the Rishus Rabbim?
There weren't, no, we don't, that's not what we learn out from there. From there we only learn out Shavu Ish Tachtav, that you get Daled Amos. We don't learn out the Isser of carrying. We learn out the measurement of Daled Amos from Shavu Ish Tachtav.
Disassociate the pasuk from what it was talking about.
All we learn out from there Shavu Ish Tachtav, that a person has a Tachtav. What does that mean? That means Daled Amos. Daled Amos is yours. Now, what do we do with that fact that Daled Amos is yours? So there's two things we do with it. One is that if you're out of the Tchum, you can go Daled Amos. The other one is you can't be Maver Chayfetz out of Daled Amos. Why can't you be Maver Chayfetz? You can't be Maver Chayfetz because we learn out from the other Haitzah, by the Trumas HaMishkan, that you can't move something from one Rishus to another. By the way, just very interesting, I didn't mention it previously, the Dirshu in Shin Mem Tes in footnote 2 brings down an interesting question. He says if you're not allowed to if you're not allowed to be Maver Chayfetz 4 Amos in Rishus Rabbim, so how come you're not allowed to be, how come it's not usher to be Maver Chayfetz 2 Amos in Rishus Rabbim? Chasi Shir. Right? Just like anything else that we have by Shabbos. There's a minimum shir, but even less than the shir, even Chatzi shir is also min HaTorah. So why is it also to be Maver Beis Amos in Rishus Rabbim? Should be Chatzi shir also min HaTorah? Well, what would the Chatzi shir be? Well, so you make an interesting point. That's not really Chatzi shir though. That's half of a malacha. It's not a full malacha. You didn't do a malacha. So that's like saying that would be like saying I'm trying to think of a quick example. That what? By what? If you're allowed to. Okay.
And the question is it considered you're cooking, you're eating the metal?
The metal. Right. That's not bishul.
It's not chatzim malach. It's chatzim shir. Even if it doesn't get to the full level, it turns real.
Right. He holds it's not a malacha. Right. But they say over here. One reason he brings down from the Chavas Yoyer is that when the pasuk says Shivu ish tachtov, what the pasuk is telling you is you have Daled Amos. It's in the prerogative. Shivu ish tachtov. Sit tachtov. You have tachtov. You own tachtov. So the Torah is lehedia being matir, being maver less than Daled Amos. So you can't apply chatzi share and say that it's aser. So I thought that was very interesting. That Shuish Taktov means, like we're saying here, you own Daled Amos. He brings here also from the Pri Megadim that over here you can't say Chatzi Shir. It's only like we're saying now. Chatzi Shir is only when you do a Malacha Gemura, but you only do half the Shir. Over here, being Maver less than Daled Amos is not the Malacha. It's not considered a Malacha at all. And this would make sense because again, you didn't take it out of the Makom. So it's not a Malacha, it's not half. It's not half a share of the malacha. It's not the malacha. You didn't do the malacha at all. Okay, so we're holding in the middle of Sif Gimel, and we are up to in the Mishnah Berurah on Reish Gimel Amud Aleph. We're up to the Mishnah Berurah Ois Cotton Yud Gimel. So to recap what we said, what the Mechaber said in Sif Gimel, the Mechaber said over here that a person would be allowed to pick up a chayfetz in Rishus Harabim, bring it to the end of his 4 amos, right? So he'll bring it. Let's say 3.5 amos away, and now he'll give it off to the next guy who's standing right over there at the beginning of his 4 amos. And he'll take it to the next guy, and to the next guy, and to the next guy. And by doing this, you could actually move a chayfetz hundreds of feet in Rishus Harabim. You can move it hundreds of amos in Rishus Harabim by using many, many, many people, each one being mavir less than Daled Amos in Rishus Harabim. What? So you want to know why do we keep on saying Mavir Daled Amos? Why don't we say Mavir 5 and 3/5? So the answer to that is going to be again. First of all, we have to understand again it's a machlokes Rishonim, right? We have the Rishonim who say 4 amos and not more, but even the Rishonim that say that 5 and 3/5 you would never be chayav for less than 5 and 3/5 is because they understand Daled Amos as meaning the diagonal of Daled Amos. So that's what Daled Amos means. Daled Amos does not mean linear 4 amos. Daled Amos equals 5 and 3/5. So the Mechaber said you could do this through the agency of using many, many people. And then the Mechaber said, V'yesh mi she'oiser. At the end of Sif Gimel, he said there are those that answer this and say you cannot do this even through many people. You can't use many people to transport an object more than 4 amos in Rishus Harabim. So let's just look at Ois Cotton Yud Beis in the Mishnah Berurah before we do Yud Gimel. In Yud Beis, the Mishnah Berurah said, V'yesh mi she'oiser. There are Rishonim that prohibit this. U'l'dei azu, according to this opinion, af b'makom she'etiru l'taltal pachas me'arba amos. Even in cases where the halacha is that the Chachamim relaxed their Isser, and they said you're allowed to move something pachas me'arba amos in Rishus Harabim, that means one person to pick something up, move it less than 4 amos, put it down, pick it up, move it less than 4 amos, put it down. There are cases where we're matter that. Going, for example, Mi shehekshech loy b'derech hamuskar b'siman reish samach vav siv zayin. In reish samach vav, the Mechaber spoke about somebody who's traveling on Erev Shabbos, and now Shabbos creeps up on him, and he has his wallet, he has his money. What is he allowed to do? So he said over there, he's allowed to be maver a chayfetz pachas me'arba amos in Rishus Harabim. Oiba might say tefillin, or the case of somebody who found tefillin on Shabbos, hamuskar b'siman shin aleph sif ben beis. That's another case where you're allowed to carry pachas. Still, al yedei kama anoshim aser. But to do this through the agency of many people, to move the tefillin or to move the wallet by handing it off from one person to another person to another person. What's the matter? Oh, no. That would be aser. The Gora mishum de'ika zilusa de Shabbos. These Rishonim hold that to use many people to be maver a chayfetz a great distance in Rishus Harabim is a bigger zilusa de Shabbos. It's a bezoyan of Shabbos because you're getting together b'farhesia, you're getting together a whole group of people, and you're circumventing Hilchos Shabbos by doing it. Now in Ois Cotton Yud Gimel, the Mishnah Berurah says v'ayin la'el siman shin aleph ritzaynai loymar. What are we referring to here? Desham sasam ha'mechaber kedei rishayin lahakel. Over there in Shin Aleph, we find that the Mechaber was Seisim. The Mechaber seems to follow the Der Rishayna over here, who's Mekel, and who says that you could move the Chayfetz by using a lot of people. However, if it's for a Dvar Rishus, if you're just moving this Chayfetz for something that's optional, where there's no Tzarech Gadol, you should be Machmer. Veda, the Masha Hitter HaMechaber HaHilacha Yidei Harbe B'nei Adam, this whole concept that we're going to be matir to move the Chayfetz by handing it off from one to another, this would only work if you're trying to move a Chayfetz in Rishus Harabim or in a Carmelis. But using extra people is not going to provide you with any kind of heter. There's no eitzah of using multiple people in order to transport a chayfetz from a Rishus HaYachid to a Carmelis, or from a Carmelis to a Rishus HaYachid, or a Rishus HaRabim to a Carmelis, or vice versa. To go from one Rishus to another, even if it's a Carmelis or Rishus Rabbanon, using more than one person is not going to help you. V'alkein, therefore, lo yafe oisin eze kehillos b'Shabbos. It is not proper what some kehillos do on Shabbos. Shenoistim sefer Torah lebeis hakneses, where they give a sefer Torah to the shul, v'holchin derech harachayiv, and they bring the sefer Torah from a house to the shul going through the street. Shehi al kol panim karmelis, because if there's no erev, so the street is at least a karmelis. And how do they do this? Al yidei hashata meyechad lechaveroi, by handing the sefer Torah from one person to another, b'pachas meyarba amis, going less than 4 amas. While they might have landed on a heter by doing this, going in the Carmelis, pachas meyarba amis, but how do you get from the house to the Carmelis? If I'm handing the sefer Torah from the house to the Carmelis, over there they're doing an Isser. Over here, Oishata is not going to help you anything. It's not going to help to hand it off to another person. Bottom line is, you're transporting it from a Rishus HaYachid to a Carmelis, which you're not allowed to do. The Taz says that even through the agency of a goy, you would not be allowed to do this. You want to take the Sefer Torah and have a non-Jew take it out of the house into the Carmelis. The Taz says even that would be aser. Now, he's referring over here, if you go to Reish Beis Amid Beis, and you go to the Bir Halacha of a Litnoi L'Chaveroi She'etzloi. I think it's a very interesting Bir Halacha. The Bir Halacha says, Ayin me Mishnah Berurah, take a look at the Mishnah Berurah, Ma She'kasafti B'Shem HaTaz, this that I wrote in the name of the Taz, She'daitoi, it's his opinion, She'asa Loitzi Sefer Torah Merishos HaYachid L'Karmelis Afilo Yidei, that you cannot even ask a non-Jew to take a Sefer Torah for laning from the house, from the Rishus HaYachid to a Carmelis. To have a mitzvah abba ba'avera. The Taz says it's a mitzvah abba ba'avera. The kasha, the Chavetz Chaim asks, to ha'hevi shvus to shvus l'tzarech mitzvah. What's the problem over here? It's a shvus to shvus. The whole isser of transporting from the Rishus HaYachid to the Carmelis is not only an isser d'Rabbanan, and now you're doing it through a non-Jew. So that's also d'Rabbanan. So at most, this is a shvus to shvus, and it's l'tzarech mitzvah. And we know that we have said earlier that a shvus to shvus b'makom mitzvah wa matir. V'nira da'ataz azal l'shitasai, must be the Taz follows his opinion. The Sfir le b'simin shin zayin Seif Siv Katan Dalad. The la yitiru al yidei akom, we're not matir through the agency of a non-Jew. Rak lahavi derech chatzer shalai ervu. Only if we're dealing with a d'Rabbanan. For instance, you want to bring it from one chutzner to another chutzner, where you're going from a Rishus HaYachid to a Rishus HaYachid, and the only problem is that there's no Erev, there's no Eruv Chatzeres. So that's an Issa D'Rabbanan. That kind of Issa D'Rabbanan you could do through a non-Jew. Avaloi derech Carmelis, but to carry in a Carmelis, to go from a Rishus HaYachid to a Carmelis, that we're not going to be mater, to Asi le'echlufei b'Rishus HaRabim. Because the Taz holds that there's room for a bigger mixture. Over there, we're afraid that you might come to mix up a Carmelis with a Rishus HaRabim. And that's korev to a Daraisa. And that's the same thing we're going to see today in Siv Hey. We're going to see the same thing. And we said this also earlier in Shin Mem Beis, I believe it was. That even though there are certain D'Rabbanans that we're mater, L'tzarech Mitzvah, or Ben Hashmashus, we said that there are a whole slew of D'Rabbanans that are mutter Ben Hashmashus. for a tzarech gadol or for a tzarech mitzvah, but not things that are karev l'daraisa. Things that are very close to come to a daraisa, we are not matir. Now the Mishnah Berurah over here continues. What? Right, they might make a mistake and come to a daraisa. What? Right, it's not a daraisa, but it's too similar. Right, it's too similar to a daraisa. We're afraid it's too close for comfort. Someone's going to come to be over to make a mistake and be madama Indian and go be over on a daraisa.
When you have a whole bunch of people and you make 2 lines,
Right.
you carry from the house through Rishus Harabim to wherever, to the shul.
Yeah, but how did you get from the Rishus HaYachid?
That's what I'm saying. You have 2 lines.
How does that help you?
Makes it into Rishus Harabim. You have mechitzas.
Oh, well, you want to create a mechitza with people.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get to that. We'll talk about that. Well, the Indian Mila, when it comes to Mila, if you have to move a baby in order to be able to do a Mila, Ayin B'Meshach Asafti B'Simin Shidl Amid Aleph Sivkat L'Chaf B'Mishnah Berurah. We had over there where the Mishnah Berurah goes to great lengths to say that you should try to avoid even Haitzah D'Rabbanan, even moving the baby out to a chutzner. If you don't have to, if you could use a non-Jew, if you could bring the sakin to the baby so that then you could leave the sakin there instead of moving the baby to the sakin through a non-Jew and then having to move the baby again back to the house through the non-Jew, you should do as little as possible. Okay, now we move along to Sivkat and Dalet. Hayu Shnayim. Let's say you have 2 people outside in the Rishus Harabim. Each one owns 4 amas. Miktsas amoisav shel zeh, besoich amoisav shel zeh. Their dalet amas overlap each other. So what's happening over here? What's happening over here is you have 2 people that are located outside in Rishus Harabim on Shabbos, and they need to eat, and they want to make a combined suda. One of them has some challah, and one of them has some deli. So they want to make a suda together. Now it happens to be that Ruvain is standing in Rishus Harabim with his 2 challahs, 6 amas away from where Shimon is standing in Rishus Harabim with his deli. Now, they can't move the challah and the deli together from one end to the other end because that would be 6 amas. But they have a 2 amma overlap in the middle. So, very good. Ruvain will bring his challahs into the 2 amma no man's land, and Shimon will bring the deli into the 2 amma no man's land, and now they can make kiddush al pas, and they can they can have lechem mishnah, and they can each have a deli sandwich for their Shabbos Suda. So how you shnayim? You had 2 people. Miktas amoisav shalzeh b'soich amoisav shalzeh. Some of Ruvain's amos, some of his dalet amos are in the middle of Shimon's dalet amos, and Shimon's dalet amos has in the middle of Ruvain's. Kigayin sheyesh b'neim sheish amos. For example, they have 6 amos between them. Mevi'in va'oichlin be'emtza. They could bring their food together in the middle, and they could eat in the middle 2 amas. But neither Reuven or Shimon could go over that 2 amma middle ground and go into the arba amas of the other one. And again, like we said, once Reuven picked up his 2 challahs from one end of his dalet amas, he picked it up and he started moving. He has now locked his dalet amas square in place. Now, when he comes over to go sit down and eat, he can't move the challah more. He can't move further over because he's taking it out of dalet amas. That he can't do. Now, we'll see a little bit later that that's not exactly 100% simple. But for the time being, for what the Mechaber is saying, you cannot move the challah out of your dalet amas, and he can't move the deli out of his 4 amas. Hayu shloisha. Let's say there were 3 people outside in Rishus Harabim. V'ha'emtzoi muvla b'neihem. So now you have Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Reuven has his challahs. Shimon has his deli. But the challah and the deli are 8 amas apart. So now there's no way for Reuven to get his challah to Shimon, and there's no way for Shimon to get his deli to Reuven. But you also have Levi, who's got the lucky guy who has the mustard. And he has 4 amas in the middle. So he's got 4 amas that overlap 2 amas with Reuven and 2 amas with Shimon. So he's going to luck out. He's going to have a good sandwich. But the other 2 guys, they can't get together. Between the 2 outside guys, between Reuven and Shimon, there's 8 amas. Levi, who's in the middle, he's mutter with Ruvain, he's mutter in Shimon, as long as he's in his middle ground. Levi has 2 amas that go to Ruvain, and he's got 2 amas that go to Shimon. So Levi could go back and forth in his Dalet amas, and he could share with Ruvain, and he could share with Shimon. But the 2 outside guys, they're stuck. They can't share together with each other because they don't make it together with each other. Now let's see the Mishnah Berurah. He's cutting your dalet. How you shnayim? You have 2 people. Hainu. What does this mean? She'echad yesh lo dvar Michael. Ruvain has some food. He has his chalas. Umunach etzloi b'tchilas arba amoisav. His chalas are with him at the beginning of his dalet amos. V'chein hasheni yesh lo dvar Michael. Shimon also has his deli. Umunach etzloi gam b'tchilas arba amoisav. His deli is with him at the beginning of his 4 amos. Ubeineim yesh hefsek sheish amos. There are 6 amos between them. Nimtza d'shtei amos hashniyoi shekol echad ve'echad. So the second 2 amos of each one, I would call them the inside 2 amos of each one, muvlaim zeh b'sach zeh, overlap each other. Lachein, therefore, mutarim shteiim lahavia oichel b'sach hashtei amos abtzayos. They could each, he could bring his chal, he could bring his deli into the middle 2 amos, shehem adayin b'sach arba amos shekol echad ve'echad, because that is safe ground. That is within each one of their Dalet amos square, so they could bring their food there, no problem. In the other case, you have 3 people. You had the 2 outside people, Reuben and Shimon, are 8 amos apart, but you have Levi who occupies the 4 amos in the middle, so he overlaps with each one. His 4 amos are in the middle of the 8. He has some food next to him. His 4 amos overlap both with Reuven and with Shimon. Because Levi in the middle, he could be metaltal 2 amos in each direction. This is what it means that Levi is mutter both with Reuven and Shimon. He's not mutter in all of Reuven's amos, and he's not mutter in all of Shimon's amos. But he's got 2 amos of each one. So he has a way of sharing with each one.
What about the food? Can the food go outside?
So the food is going to be a little bit tricky, because I think that the food is going to depend on exactly what we said in Seif Gimel. In other words, Reuven could move his challah all the way to the end of his Dalet amos. Now what do you want to happen? Now you want Levi to pick up the challah, and you want Levi to take it to Shimon's. Then you moved more than Arba amos using 2 people. Reuven has his challah at the beginning of his Dalet amos. He brings it to Levi's first 2 amos, right? Levi's first 2 amos overlap with Reuven's 4 amos. So Reuven is going to bring his challah. Yeah, or he could go 4 amos and give it to him. He can go all the way to the middle of Levi, and he gives it to Levi. Now what do you want? Now you want Levi to take it and take it across the border to Shimon's 2 amos. That's what you're asking. You want to know, could the food leave Reuven's 4 amos?
Oh, now you have 3.
What?
You have 3 people.
I know you have 3 people, but however you're going to get Reuven's chalas more than 4 amos away from Reuven's beginning, you're going to do it with more than 1 person? You can't do that. That's Seif Gimel. You're not allowed to move more than Arba amos using 2 people. Oh, I mean, it's a machlokes. I should say you're not allowed to do it. The day of Rishona in Seif Gimel says you're allowed to do it. The day of Shnia says you're not allowed to do it. Right? That's the machlokes in Seif Gimel.
I was talking in a situation like this. Let's say you have 6 amos between.
That's the first case.
Okay.
6 amos.
So he goes 2 amos, and the other guy goes 2 amos.
So now we're sharing in the middle.
Right?
Right.
So let's say this guy over here on the left had chalas,
Right.
and he brings it over here.
Right.
Now this guy over here takes the chalas, and he goes back to his original.
Okay, so you just did Seif Gimel. You moved a chayfetz more than Arba amos in Rishus Harabim using more than 1 person. Reuven is taking it in his Dalet amos, and then he's handing it off to Shimon and Shimon is taking it his Dalet Amos. That's Sif Gimel. So that's the Machlokes. The day Rishon in Sif Gimel says you're allowed to do it. The day Shni in Sif Gimel, V'yesh Misha Eiser, says you're not allowed to do it. Says the Mishnah Berurah, for a Dvar Rishus, you should be Machmer. If it's a Tzarech Suda Shabbos, if you're not going to have a Suda Shabbos, it's not a Dvar Rishus, it's a Dvar Mitzvah. So I guess you'd be allowed to do it.
We learned
Yes.
before that if he goes,
Over Shulchan Aruch Harav Sasam
if he
Leheter.
goes less than 4 amos and he puts it down,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He picks it up again.
That's Pachas Pachas.
Right?
That's Pachas
That's
Pachas.
what they say.
No, it's not.
What?
Over here you're using 2 people.
So that's even better.
No, Mishnah Berurah said it's worse.
That's because if you have a lot of people,
It's Zilusa de Shabbos.
What?
Zilusa de Shabbos. That's worse. Right. So again, the scenario that you're giving is Sif Gimel. That's Sif Gimel. The scenario you're giving is Sif Gimel.
What I was basically asking is the following. Is the object kind of shvita in the first 4 amos? That's what I'm saying.
No, there is no din like there is by Tchum. By Tchum, there's a din that the chayfetz is kind of shvisa. It goes l'regel habaylim. There's no din of regel habaylim by the Dalet Amos. That there's no din of. There's no din of regel habaylim. Okay. Sif hey. Okay. Also lahaylach chayfetz. What?
In Dalit, in case of the Avodah, the middleman gains the most.
Yeah, the middleman wins. Right, the middleman wins. And he's got the mustard, so he definitely wins. Cutting hay. Also, lahayla chayfetz pachas me'aba amos. You're not allowed to move a chayfetz by moving it slightly less than 4 amos, and then again slightly less than 4 amos, and then again slightly less than 4 amos. Va'afilu ben hashmashas. You're not even allowed to do this during the time of ben hashmashas, when it's a suffix, if it's Shabbos or not. Va'afilu b'karmelis, and you're not even allowed to do this in a karmelis, where carrying in a karmelis is only an issa d'Rabbanan. You're not allowed to do it in a karmelis either. Okay. Says the Mishnah Berurah, he's cutting tezayin. Aser lahaylach. Why? Why is this aser? The chayshinon shema yavai lahaylach arba amos babas achas. The reason Chazal asked this is because they were afraid. If we're going to allow you to move a chayfetz slightly less than Dalet Amos, slightly less than Dalet Amos, slightly less than Dalet Amos, then you're going to eventually forget, and you're going to come to move something more than Arba Amos, and you're going to be over Nisa Daraisa. The Zimnin, the Lavadaite, because there's going to be times that you're not going to have it in mind. And basically what we're saying is so simple. We're saying if we're going to give you a simple trick that's going to allow you to move a chayfetz as far as you want in Rishus Harabim, and the only thing you have to do to make this mutter is carry it 3 amos, put it down, carry it 3 amos, put it down, carry it 3 amos, put it down. So you're going to know, on Shabbos I can move anything as far as I want. I just have to remember to put it down. So you're going to say, oh yeah, I could carry this to my friend's house. No problem. And you're going to start going, and then you're going to forget to put it down. Zicha you're going to forget, and you're going to end up being over in Issa Daraisa. So the Chachamim asked this. V'asi l'dei Issa Daraisa. V'yesh pa'amim she'itiru pachas me'ab amos. As we mentioned before, there are times that Chazal were matir, taking something pachas me'ab amos. The words in the parentheses here, for those prints that have it, I don't know if the Dishu print has the parentheses here or not. That is a Toys cipher, shouldn't be there. There are times that it's mutter to move something pachas me'ab amos. Ayin la'el b'simin reish samach vav. Siv Zayin, that's the case of somebody who was traveling in Erev Shabbos, and now it's Shabbos, and we will matter him to move his wallet, pachas me'ab amos in Rishus Harabim. V'simin shin aleph sif mem beis, over there, that's the case of somebody who found tefillin on Shabbos. V'simin shin ches sif yud ches, that's the case of a kaitz hamunach b'Rishus Harabim, something dangerous that's located in the Rishus Harabim, kaitzim are thorns. If you have glass or thorns located in the Rishus Harabim, and you have to get it out of the way because it's going to be mazik somebody, you could move it to pachas from Dalet Amos for Rishus Harabim. Yeah. V'dafka kishamoylech kama pamim pachas me'ab amos. This iser d'Rabbanan is only when you're moving something many times less than arba amos. Avopam achas pachas me'ab amos, but to move something one time in Rishus Harabim less than arba amos, mutter. That's mutter even in the Rabbanan. If you need to pick something up in Rishus Harabim and move it Pachas Baraba Amos in Rishus Harabim, that's mutter. Kumasha Kasab Reisha Siman. That's Bechlal, not an Isser. And that the Chazal didn't daser. The Isser is to move something Dalan Amos in Rishus Harabim. To move something less than Dalan Amos in Rishus Harabim is not an Isser. The Isser D'Rabbanan is you want to move it more than Dalan Amos. Just you want to do it Pachas. That's an Isser D'Rabbanan. Pachas is cutting your Zion. All the way at the beginning of Shin Mem Tes, we said over here that you own Arba Amos, and doing less than Arba Amos is not a problem.
It's not referring to mutar la'adam la'akor chedes v'shus harabim v'leita l'chavero.
No. It's not referring to that. That's not Reish HaSiman. No, it's not what he said.
Is doing it only once.
No, he's saying you're allowed to pick up something and move it less than 4 amos to Rishus Harabim, even lechatchila. Even the Rabbanan. Right. You can't hand it off to somebody. I mean, that's machlokes. It's Seif Gimel, whether you can or you can't, to hand it off to somebody else. Handing it off to somebody else is a potential Issa D'Rabbanan, according to the Yesh Misha Eisrim in Seif Gimel. But for you to move it once, less than 4 amos, is mutal lechatchila.
Over here, v'leita l'chavero, that means without hanacha.
Well, that would be a hanacha.
That's what it means. When he gives it over to his friend, it's a hanacha.
That's a hanacha when he gives it to his friend. Yeah.
And when the friend moves it, it's the akira.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So you say you mutter to do that.
No! In Seif Gimel, the Mechaber says you're mutter to do that, and he says v'yesh mishayser. But that's not what he's referring to here. What he's referring to here is the very beginning of Shin Mem Tes. Kol adam yesh lo arba amos b'rishus harabim sheyachal l'taltal b'hem. Everybody has 4 amos in Rishus Harabim, and he's allowed to move chafetzim in that Rishus Harabim, in that 4 amos. That's what he's referring to here. Reish Siman Shin Mem Beis, the beginning of Shin Mem Beis. That's mutal lechatchila. Pachas. This is a very interesting Chavetz Chaim here. He's cutting Yud Zayin. Pachas. What constitutes moving something pachas? Mikre pachas, it's called that you carried it less than 4 amos, al yedei sha'amad lafush beintayim. If you picked up a chayfetz at point A in Rishus Harabim, and you walked less than 4 amos, and then you stopped in order to rest. So you didn't put the chayfetz down. You just stopped in order to rest. That is called pachas v'arabas. The heavy kemoisha b'niach ha'chayfetz la'aretz, because it is exactly akin to putting the chayfetz down on the ground. Because if you look in Shar HaTzion, Ois Yud Tes, all the way on the bottom line in the second column, the Hanochas Gufay heavy Kanochas Chayfetz. Because like we keep on seeing, when you're holding something in your hand and you stop in Rishus Harabim, that is Hanochas Gufay. When you stop, you put your guf down. When you put your guf down, you're putting down whatever you hold. So if you pick up something at point A in Rishus Harabim, and you walk 3 7/8 of an amma, and then you're oimid lafush, and then you stop to take a rest, that is hanochas hachefetz. Now when you start walking again, that is akiras hachefetz. Because akiras haguf, when you uproot yourself to start walking again, that is akiras hachefetz. So now you started a new akira. You go another 3 7/8 of an amma, and you're oimid lafush, you stop to rest, that again is hanochas hachefetz. So that would be a case of pachas b'arba amos. You do not need to actually put it on the ground. Aval, however, says the Chavetz Chaim, im amad toich arba amos lisakein masoi, if you weren't oimid lafush, if you didn't stop to take a rest, if you stopped for a second, I'm one of those people, I say there should be another brachas hashachar. There should be a bracha, there should be pekech, ivrim, malbash arumim. I think people who have broad shoulders should make a bracha that they have broad shoulders. Because I don't know about you, but I was not blessed with broad shoulders. I have very, very schlumpy, sloped, narrow shoulders, and I can't carry a briefcase. I put my laptop and my svarm in my bag, and I put them up on my shoulder, or I put my video bag on my shoulder, and 14 steps down the block, it falls down, and it's down by my elbow. You'll have to teach me what it is. I don't know what it is. I can't carry a bag. You know, some people carry a bag for a mile without a problem. I can't carry a bag. So if you stop in order l'saken amasoi, if you stop in order to adjust your load, so you didn't stop lafush, you didn't stop to rest. Avalamama toika arbamis l'saken masoi hevi kemahalech kala arbamis bebasakas v'chiyuva nami yesh bazeh. If you walked 3 7/8 of an amma, and then you stopped in order to adjust the bag on your shoulder, but you did not stop lafush, that is not a hanocha. Even though normally we say hanochas haguf is hanochas hakefetz, that's only if it's oimid lafush, because by oimid lafush, you stopped to stop. You made a hanocha. You made hanochas haguf. You stopped because you wanted to stop, because you needed to take a break. By l'saken amasui, you didn't stop to stop. You stopped in order to go weiter. You stopped because you needed to fix the bag on your shoulder so that you could continue going. Over there, the Magen Avram, this comes from a Magen Avram, and the Magen Avram, the intent of the Magen Avram seems to be over here that you did not stop to stop. You stopped to continue going. And that is not called Hanochas HaChefetz. And I'm going to direct you, even though we're a little bit late, still, not late, but we're still a little behind, to Shara Tzion Ois Yud Ches, because I think it's such a beautiful piece of Chavetz Chaim over here. The Shara Tzion brings down this Magen Avram, and he says, V'ayin l'eil b'simin reish samach vav b'bishta Berurah sifkat Yud Ches, ma'ashe kasavti b'shem yesh machmirin, v'hu me Rabbeinu Yerucham hamuva kan b'beis Yosef. This comes from a Rabbeinu Yerucham. V'lanias daiti nira borer, says the Chavetz Chaim. It is lanias daiti very clear to me. The lekule alma min Torah mikre amida. We're going to call it an amido. We're going to call it stopping. Afilu im loy amad lafush behedya. You don't have to mamish stop in order to rest. It doesn't have to be a stopping to rest. V'rak b'shvil eze siba shamon elelech. You stopped because of anything that stopped you. You stopped because you needed to stop. Whether you needed to stop because there was somebody standing in your way, or you needed to stop. You needed to stop. That's why you stopped. As long as you didn't stop in order to fix your load. The point of stopping to fix your load is that I have no intention to stop. I don't want to stop. I have no interest in stopping. I'm stopping for a second so that I can continue. I'm stopping because in order to continue, I need to fix my load. The rak oz choshev k'mahalach. If you stopped l'saken amasoi, then you're considered as if you're still going. Umashama b'gemara amad lafush. When the Gemara uses the words amad lafush, lav dafka. Rak la'afuke shalay amad l'saken. It just means that you didn't stop to be misaken amasoi. So this is just, it's very fascinating. Because here we have again, where we have this balance between what is called a hanocha through the guf and what is not called a hanocha. You could actually stop, and it's not called a hanocha. So somehow your intent, when you stop l'saken amasoi, that's not called you stopped. That's called you're still going. While I'm going, I have to be misaken amasoi. You stopped. I mean, if we're going to look at the world in black and white, hanochas haguf, hanochas hachefetz. What do you mean? You stopped? No. Your intent, the fact that you stopped l'saken amasoi, is not called stopping. That's called still going. And we're not going to say hanochas haguf, hanochas hachefetz in such a case. And the Mishnah Berurah says over here, v'chiyuva nami yesh bazeh. Daraisa. V'chiyuva nami yesh bazeh. So you were maver dalan amas in Rishos Harabim, you went 3 7/8 and you stopped l'saken amasoi, and then you walked a little bit more, it's chiv daraisa, even though you stopped. We're not going to say hanochas haguf, hanochas hachefetz. We're going to say you bring a karbachatos if you did it b'shoigig. So it's just so interesting to get to get the rules down here, to get the guidelines down here. It's very not black and white. Okay, we'll stop over here.